8,000 capacity stadium, which as you can see is not exactly full at the moment. Paraguay, the hosts, are having a night off in the middle of this Group A competition. Brazil wearing their traditional strip, as are Venezuela. We'll be hoping to get a victory which will go a long way towards helping them try and win this competition for an 11th time. They should have perhaps won the other night, Brazil. They were 2-0 up against Paraguay through Leandro and Kleber, but allowed the hosts back into the match. Kleber, with a shocking challenge late in the game to pick up a red card, is suspended, as is Ronaldo, the centre-half, who picked up yellow cards in his 2 previous matches. Venezuela, La Vino Tinto as they're known, the red wine coloured shirts, will get us underway, attacking the goal to our right-hand side. The referee starting the proceedings is from Ecuador, Carlos Orbe. Well, we had a very, very exciting encounter between Colombia and Peru prior to this game. 6 goals, 2 penalties, a controversial penalty award to Peru, a ball which didn't it cross the line. So these 2 teams have got quite a lot to live up to, although both of them, I'm sure, would settle for a scrappy 1-0 if it meant 3 points. Here are Brazil, though. Nothing scrappy about the way they've played in the tournament so far. This is Evander, who scored in the opening win against Colombia, but is unable to get a shot away there. It's already a positive start from Ocelechal. This is Kaiki. The Brazilian left-back was bundled over there by Holvis Acevedo, who's one of the 3 Venezuelans who's come into the side today. It's going to be Evander to take the free kick. The only man in the wall is Edson Tortolero, who looked a very creative player when he came on 2 nights ago. Here's the delivery by Evander, and it's a great save. Unchallenged header from Adrielson, who's starting a match for the first time in place of the suspended Ronaldo getting up. It was a decent enough header, and it was well held by Vilca Farines. But already Venezuela a little under the cosh. This is the first time they've had the ball in the Brazilian half, and it's defended by Zé Marcos. Well, that was a really good chance for Brazil to score inside the opening couple of minutes. Evander's free kick met by the head of Adrielson, who did come on as a substitute in the opening game against Colombia. Here's Mateus Pereira finding Evander. Kaiki's gone in a little run infield. Evander wants to shoot, and for the 2nd time already, Farines is having to make a save, but he probably be a little bit happier with the degree of difficulty from that effort by Evander. It wasn't a complicated save, but Brazil is certainly starting with a vengeance here. Brazil are looking to extend an incredible run of 17 games in this tournament without defeat. They managed to finish undefeated 2 years ago, although goal difference ended up denying them the title. As we watch this header by Adrielson, he couldn't have done too much more. He got away from his man at the back stick. It was poor defending, and the defender was very, very grateful indeed to see Adrielson's header end up in his goalkeeper's hands. Brazil not winners in Argentina 2 years ago, the hosts are the holders of the tournament, but the record of unbeaten matches goes back 4 years to a defeat by Paraguay in 2011. Here's Evander. Crossfield ball finds Adrielson. Over on the right-hand side, replacing the disgraced Kleber, is Renan. Here is Zé Marcos. There are quite a few Brazilians who are going to have to be careful tonight. Renan is one of them. Evander, Riolé, Kaiki and Zé Marcos have all been yellow carded in previous games and would serve suspensions if they're cautioned tonight. Here's Leandro, and he almost got his third goal in 3 games. It was a wonderful shot from the edge of the box, clipped the crossbar. Well, he's in form. Scored against Colombia, scored against Paraguay, and very, very nearly there scored against Venezuela. It's all Brazil at the moment. Venezuela trying to get brief respite, but it's going to come back at them here. This is Mateus Pereira, who provided an absolutely exquisite touch for Kleber's second goal on Saturday night. Here he is again. Shooting passes with Evander. This is Riolé, the defensive midfield player. It's as if he's actually playing as a centre-half tonight. We'll try and sort that out as the game unfolds. Here's Pereira. It's nicely done. The ball on to Kaiki from Leandro, but they can't make anything of it. But Leandro certainly did make something of this onto his right foot. It was a terrific shot. Goalkeeper was beaten. Fortunately for him, didn't quite dip enough to avoid clattering the crossbar. It was a great effort by Leandro. So can bring it away again. Mateus Pereira. Lovely play by the Brazilians. Look, an outstanding team. And the attack here with Andre. It's not a particularly good ball, and it's knocked away by Edgar Perez. Venezuela are already aware in the opening 6-7 minutes that they're going to be in for a long old night by the looks of it. That's a poor one though, and it's intercepted by Acevedo. Up front today is Ronaldo Chacon, who, like Leandro, his Brazilian counterpart, has scored in both games so far. Managed 1 point from those 2 games, beaten by the hosts on day 1. By Peru on day 2, when they led by 2-0 Venezuela, and in the twinkling of an eye it was 2-2. Pleased with the fact that Peru have lost tonight. It would be an achievement if either Venezuela or Peru were to qualify from this tough group. Where Venezuela finished second in the whole tournament 2 years ago, when Andres Ponce scored 7 of their 8 goals. They were the team that finished between Argentina and Brazil in second place. It was played forward by Adrielson. It's going to be a goal kick. Dart forward was by Andre, who's been very impressive in the opening 2 games. A hugely creative midfield player, scored a goal against the Colombians on day 1. Luca Farina is the FC Caracas player who at 14 years old signed a long contract with that club. He's already made 2 saves today. Time is 20:08 in the evening, local time in this southwestern city in Paraguay, very close to the capital Asunción. All 3 venues are clustered together. The Venezuelan skipper Yangel Higuera needs to get there ahead of his man, which he did. Under pressure from Mateus Pereira. Brazil play with a diamond in midfield normally. I think Riolé is actually playing as a centre-half today. He's normally the defensive midfield man. It looks as if that might be Renan today. Almost 10 minutes gone. Brazil by some distance the better side in that opening period. Here's Lincoln. It's beautifully done by him. Here's Andre. Lincoln again. Highly regarded. Already a first-team player with Grêmio. This is Zé Marcos. Different central defensive partner here for him tonight, with Ronaldo suspended. Kaique loses the ball. This is Rioler. Oh, he is playing as a defensive midfield player. Renan here is on the right flank. Gets to the pace of the ball and plays it back to Lincoln. Nicely worked across to Andre. Might have a crack here, Andre! Just behind. Excellent effort from a player who's sparkled throughout the tournament. And once he got a sight of goal, again the keeper was beaten, but just the wrong side of the post. It was swerving away. Venezuela's first attempt on goal is comprehensively blocked and offers no problem for the Brazilian captain, Bruno. Goalkeeping skipper, who showed himself in the opening couple of matches to be, on occasions, a little eccentric, particularly with his decisions as to when to dash out of his box. Kaique was unable to get the ball beyond Polvis Acevedo. Acevedo is already a senior player with his club, Carabobo. Made a couple of recent appearances for them in the Venezuelan First Division. Here's Adrielson finding Rioler. This is Zé Marcos. Nice little clip forward by him, chased by Leandro. There's no one in the box for him, which is a shame for Brazil, because it's a great ball by Zé Marcos, and you can see that Caio Zanardi is as frustrated as anyone about that. Nobody attacking the penalty spot area had they done so. It was nicely clipped across by Leandro. Here's Rioler, the 9 ever presence in this Brazilian team. I'm sure Kleber and Ronaldo would have continued had they not been suspended. This is Rioler. Can't quite find Renan. It's going to be a free kick to the Venezuelans. And, 7 games in Spain in October and November in readiness for this tournament. Venezuela won 3, drew 2 and lost 2. That included a 2-0 win over the under-17 team at Real Madrid, no less. It's just come off Renan. And as a substitute in both of the opening games. Finally gets his chance because of Kleber's suspension, the Corinthians man. Tortolero for Venezuela hasn't really had the chance yet to show what he can do, but he's won a corner. It's a very creative player, the number 7, when he came on against Peru to try and give Venezuela a victory, which didn't come in the end. It finished 2-2. He's going to take the corner. Well-footed player, so it's going to be an in-swinger. It's a little quartet of Vino Tinto men around the penalty spot. There is across the face of goal and wide in the end. It's the first effort of any kind by the Venezuelans, and it came from their captain, Yangel Herrera, who is dangerous from these sort of set pieces. Showed that a couple of times in the game against Peru. It's Andre finding Lincoln, and now Rioulet. Lincoln's been caught there, it's a free kick. And a final warning, I think. Lincoln is one of the most highly rated teenagers in Brazilian football. 6 appearances for Grêmio already. He's only 16 years old. She'll have a free kick here for a foul by Acevedo, who's pleading his innocence, but the award's been made. Evander is keen to take it quickly, and Farines is going to have to organise things again. St. Marcos has gone up for this one, the big defender. There he is. Evander delivers, looks a bit close to the keeper. Just about managed to punch it away under pressure. Brazil have it again though. This is Evander. He's trying to wriggle away from his man, couldn't quite do it, but the pressure is still on for the Venezuelans. This was Evander's free kick. Lincoln was arriving and the goalkeeper took evasive action. Here is Evander again. This is Renan. Rioulet. It's a clever ball. And Lincoln's got there. And Brazil have the lead. Brilliant ball from Rioulet, and Lincoln capitalised on a little bit of hesitancy from the goalkeeper and bundled the ball into the net, and Brazil have a thoroughly deserved lead. Terrific ball by Rioulet. Lincoln was onto it quickly, the goalkeeper made a real mess of it, and Lincoln was able just to nudge it over the line. Should have claimed this, Wilker Farines. He's made a couple of decent saves prior to that moment, but it's a blunder by the keeper and it's been punished. And Brazil have the lead that they craved early on. It's Brazil 1, Venezuela 0. Number 17 has scored in the 17th minute. And few would argue that their dominance doesn't deserve that lead. Victory would put Brazil 3 points ahead of Paraguay, who don't play tonight. Of course, the Paraguayans would have a game in hand. Venezuela, though, will have a free kick, so Brazil will have to concentrate. They always say you're at your most vulnerable when you've just gone ahead. Tortolero will take. Bruno comes and doesn't get there, but it wasn't a clean header from Venezuelan skipper Herrera. In fact, it came off a Brazilian head. It's going to be a corner kick to La Vinotinto. Sandro Noto-Roberto, the returning left-back, is among those inside the penalty area, as is Ronaldo Chacon, who scored twice already in the tournament. Tortolero delivers it, a firm header away by Zé Marcos, and Brazil will be dangerous here on the counter as the ball is worked forward, and there's a rather cynical foul there, which will be punished with a yellow card. Leandro was trying to get away from his man, and it was very, very cynical by the right fullback De La Hoy. Kick Brazil, yellow card for him, and he will miss De La Hood the next game for Venezuela against Colombia in Asunción on Wednesday. Venezuela will be all but out if they lose this one, because that is their only remaining game. One of the slight quirks of this tournament, of course, that with 5 in each group, 2 of the teams have to play on 4 successive match days, whereas the other 3 get some kind of break. Venezuela playing on match days 1 to 4, so this is 3. If they lose today, they would have a single point only, and they are losing. Here's Ivan there, half cleared by Venezuela. Nicely worked out across here to Mateus Pereira. That's a wonderful piece of skill again. It's nodded back, and the goalkeeper's just claimed it under the bar. Wonderful skill again by Mateus Pereira, who's had an outstanding tournament for Brazil. At the other end, though, here come Venezuela with Tortolero. Goes down in the box. No penalty is forthcoming. All Venezuela are going to get is a throw. "20 minutes gone. Brazil good value for their 1-goal lead given to them by Lincoln. His first goal of the tournament. Shot on the turn is completely miscued by Starling Yendes, who recently celebrated his 17th birthday. A couple of days ago, in fact, it was his birthday on the day of the 2-2 draw with Peru, so it didn't end up terribly happily for him. Scored in the opening game against Paraguay, which didn't end happily either. Here's Mateus Pereira finding Kaiki. He's been floored. It's a free kick to Brazil. Brazil's goal in the 17th minute was the 25th already in Group A. This is only the 6th match, so we're averaging more than 4 a game. Number 26. Lincoln is also standing over this free kick. It's a long, long way out, but judging by his body shape, Evander is thinking about a crack at goal. I'm not sure whether Lincoln's trying to talk him out of it. Maybe deciding that a chip ball might be better. It's Evander. Oof, good save. That was a really well-directed free kick. It was going in, just losing pace a little bit, allowing the goalkeeper to get across. It was a long way out. Goalkeeper perhaps made the save look a little bit more spectacular than it was. It's a corner to Brazil. We've gone beyond the midway point in the opening half. Goalkeeper comes, doesn't claim again. It's a corner on the opposite flank. Under pressure from his own defender there, Yangel Herrera. Not too many yellow shirts in place there, and the goalkeeper again looked very, very nervous. Evander's gone across to take the corner. Zé Marcos has stayed up. It's going to be an outswinger this time. There's the header! Oh, it's a splendid goal. That is a wonderful header by Adrielson. And Brazil applaud a second goal. Adrielson, who went very close in the opening minutes, has absolutely planted that into the net. And Brazil dominant and doubly delighted now with the second goal. Really was a terrific header by the 16-year-old centre-half. Come into the side to replace the suspended Ronaldo and has got the second goal. And the scoreboard doesn't lie. Brazil have been thoroughly dominant. Here's Evander. Brazil rampant and looking for a third goal with Kaique. This is Mateus Pereira. Zé Marcos with the ball forward. Well, Venezuela saw their own two-goal lead eroded by Peru 2 nights ago. This time it's they that are going to have to try and come back from that deficit. In truth, they don't look anywhere near doing so at the moment. Was just about kept in there. It's with Evander. Now Rioulet, whose splendid through ball led to the first goal. Free kick to Brazil on halfway. It's Lincoln who's down injured. Scorer of goal number 1. Bruno, a rare touch for him. He's had nothing to do at all in the opening 27 minutes. 2 goals in the space of 6 minutes have put Brazil in control here. Is by De La Hoth. It's come out on the edge of the penalty area to Anthony Trujillo, but he's blasted his shot a long, long way wide. I don't think Venezuela have got anything on target yet. And Seferino Bencomo, their coach, is very frustrated. He's a very casual dresser. Doesn't favour either the business suit or the track suit. You wouldn't know to look at him that he was the coach of Venezuela. There's no Venezuelan badge on his polo top, and he's got a very workmanlike pair of chinos on as well. At the moment, it's been little more than workmanlike from his team because they've been totally outclassed by Brazil, who've been outstanding. Here's Reynan finding Lincoln. Reynan again. Passing has been crisp and decisive, the Brazilians so far. The ball clipped over the top by Mateus Pereira. Venezuela can't get it away. It's Lincoln. Lincoln's presented Venezuela with possession here. They can't do anything with it, and that's been the story of the half, really, in terms of Lavino Tinto. They've been very, very much second best. It's Adrielson, scorer with a bullet header at the second goal. That's not a very good header, fortunately for Venezuela. Yangel Herrera, who looks their best player pound for pound, the skipper, gets the ball away. This is Andre. Mateus Pereira. Ball infield towards Evander. It's just knocked away from him by Nortaraberto. Still Brazil come. It's Lincoln. There's an overlap with Renan. Here's Renan. Away by Herrera. And then acrobatically by Tortolero. Chacon gets the header in. We've scarcely mentioned him. He's hardly seen any of the ball at all, the number 11 in the left of your, or right of your picture. No Farisato today for Venezuela. Chacon very much ploughing a lone furrow up front and not getting anything like the service he needs. Here's Lincoln. Given away though by Rioulet, who's normally very tidy. And headers by Kaiki. Beautifully done again by Brazil, although Kaiki couldn't quite keep the ball in. There is Ronaldo Chacon, a goal in each game so far, but he's not had a whiff of one today. He might hit. It's hit on the turn. It was Tortolero who got to the bounce of the ball first, but hooked his volley. Again off target. Result of a long throw from De La Hoth. Tortolero and Chacon both went for the ball. It was Tortolero who connected, but not a telling connection from Venezuela's point of view. We've passed half an hour. It's going to be a free kick to Brazil. Foul on Andre. Brazil have now scored 7 goals, making them the overall leading scorers in the tournament. Uruguay in Group B have got 6. Stunning win for them yesterday against Argentina, who are really struggling. Team to have played 2 games so far and not got a point, Argentina. So the holders are in a spot of bother. Brazil, their arch rivals, anything but here. The one is by Andre. He's got another chance here. It's caught for a free kick. Venezuela have given so many free kicks away in this opening 32.5 minutes. Pretty agricultural challenge from Nortaraberto. Here come Brazil again, looking for a third before half-time. This is Lincoln. Is to Renan. Well defended by Herrera, and then foul in the box by Evander. Committed on Edgar Perez. Venezuelans seem to collide with each other there rather than something sinister from the Brazilian point of view, but it is a free kick. Here's Lincoln. Kaiki is rather loose the pass, and Venezuela have possession with Chacon. It's come forward to Tortolero, does well. Produces a pass which goes into no man's land. The game's gone into a bit of a lull. sure Brazil are not going to sit on a 2-goal lead. It isn't really in their nature. Here's Zé Marcos. Rioler. This is Adrielson. Patient from the 10 times winners. They've won 4 of the last 5 stagings of this competition, 8 of the last 10. Argentina's win 2 years ago on home soil ended a run of 4 consecutive triumphs by Brazil in this competition. They've also won the World Cup itself 3 times. Has been the launch pad for the likes of Neymar and Ronaldinho. Here's Tortolero, though, for Venezuela, looking to get back on terms. Good effort. And it's the first real save of the night from Bruno, and he made it at his near post. But that was better from Venezuela. Tortolero looks a capable player who did really well here. Just turned round his man. It was always going to be difficult to squeeze it into that gap, and Bruno made sure he couldn't. Corner, though. Tortolero's delivery. Decent header and in! Or was he offside? I think he was offside. It's not going to count. I think Chacon was on the end of it and thought he'd scored for a 3rd successive game. But when the header was played in, we'll get a view of it here. How far has he gone? Well, it's very close because Kaiki there is inside the box as well. When the ball came to him, it was a question of whether he was level or not, and it was a borderline decision. Brazil preserved their 2-goal lead, but just given a warning. Here's Leandro. It's good play by him. Still has it, Leandro. Finds Lincoln. He's got lovely quick feet, Lincoln. This is Rioler. Near side is Mateus Pereira. Excellent move this by the Brazilians. Kaiki getting to the byline. It'll be a goal kick only. Another Brazilian free kick. Andre once more the victim. 8 minutes to go to half-time. Here's Kaiki. And now Mateus Pereira. He's been imperious in the centre of midfield once again. Here he is. It's a lovely chip ball forward into Evander. Cross is blocked by Herrera. It's another Brazil corner. Well, I said after a couple of minutes it looked like it was going to be a long old night for the Venezuelans, and it certainly turned out to be exactly that. Evander will take the corner. Adrielson scored from the last one from this side. This time the goalkeeper again has not been entirely convincing, but he has managed to finger-tip the ball behind. He's under a little bit of pressure from Lincoln. Lincoln himself has gone over to take the subsequent corner. Boy from Ronaldinho's hometown of Porto Alegre, which of course has led to inevitable comparisons. Certainly hasn't let Brazil down yet, Lincoln. He's been outstanding. Here's the corner, into the box, but not into the net quite. And the defender clatters it against his own post. It was Zé Roberto, I think, who got in initially, and then Trujillo almost turned it into his own net. It was very scruffy. Good save initially by the goalkeeper. And then it clattered back into the defender, who just about managed to get it clear, but Brazil come again. Header away is by De La Hoz. Will play forward by Andre. Strike is off target, somewhat impetuous by right back Renan. As for the Corinthians club, he's appeared in all 3 matches in this tournament so far, although this is his first start. Placing Kleber, who was the perpetrator of an odious foul at the end of the 2-2 draw with Paraguay, which drew a thoroughly warranted red card. Brazil have managed in this game so far, which they'll be hoping to maintain, as well as their 2-goal lead, is the fact that they haven't picked up any more yellow cards, because so many of them are on a disciplinary tightrope. We're in the final 5 minutes in Capiata, and Brazil's 40 minutes has been a thoroughly productive one so far. Here's Lincoln. Got it all started with that 17th minute goal. Can't quite spread the ball, but here come Brazil again, and there's space here for Evander. Evander onto his right foot, good block. Evander scored a tap-in against Colombia on the opening night. Here's Chacon for Venezuela. Got 3 players around him. He did well to find a teammate. Referee says play on, despite Venezuelan appeals for a free kick. It's a very un-Brazil-like Route 1 thump by Leandro to nobody in particular. Here's Herrera. Venezuelans might be pleased to regroup at half-time, because they've been thoroughly undone in the opening period so far, unless they can pinch one. This is Yendis, of whom we've seen very little so far. Finding Tortolero. Brazil defend, and Renan has plenty of time to push it upfield to Andre. They're at almost walking pace now, the Brazilians. A bit sloppy though by Renan. Chacon is onto it. Pips it forward. Tortolero's there. He's a slippery customer. He'll work his way around 3. Brazilians there. He's won a free kick. Well, Tortolero's skill and his ability to hold up players reaped its dividend there in the shape of a free kick, and a chance for Venezuela to get themselves back into it just before the interval. I'd imagine when Tortolero gets up, he might fancy top at goal himself. That was the earlier one where it clearly was no penalty. I think Tortolero was fortunate not to be booked for a dive there. Bruno's made 1 save so far from the number 7 Tortolero, who's been Venezuela's most creative player in this first half. Not that they've created a huge amount, but he looks as if he's going to have a go from this free kick, which is certainly within range. This could be an awkward moment for the Brazilians. Here's Tortolero. Good save by Bruno. Cross to his right. It was well directed. The Brazilians will have a habit of bouncing up and down as the ball is played in. Tortolero wasn't put off by that. It was going in, and Bruno, a smart save. Corner to Lavino Tinto. Tortolero will take. Last minute of the first half. sees Brazil under a little bit of pressure. And they're claiming handball. Oh, and nothing given. Venezuela were convinced there was a handball there, but Carlos Orbe does not agree. Signalled for the goal kick. Let's have a look. Well, it might have hit Adrielson's hand, but I don't think you can say that that was deliberate. He was jumping with his arm by his side, and it just hit him, really. I think that's a good decision by the Ecuadorian referee. Just a minute to be added on. Venezuela are finishing the half well. It's been their most productive spell of the match so far. Yet being able to make anything of it though, and Brazil will hook it away, but back they come. It's a nice play by Yendis. Brazil still can't get it fully clear. Finally they do. It's going to be another Venezuelan free kick. And the 1 minute is almost up, so and Herrera gets up. They might have one last throw of the dice here. Brazil won't want to undo 46 minutes of pretty good work by letting Venezuela back in here, but Tortolero, who's capable from set pieces, is standing over the ball. Getting away firmly, and that is half-time. Well, for the most part, Brazil have been absolutely outstanding. Lincoln with the opening goal after 17 minutes, capitalising on a mistake by goalkeeper Wilker Farines. And then the lead doubled 6 minutes later. An Evander corner headed in unstoppably by Adrielson. Ronaldo Chacon had the ball in the net for Venezuela, but it was disallowed for offside. Other than that, they haven't caused too many problems to the 10 times champions. At half-time, it's Brazil 2, Venezuela 0. 55 minutes for La Vino Tinto. Not helped by Colombia's victory over Peru earlier. They will be bottom of the group if the score stays the same. There is Edson Tortolero, the player who's done more than anyone to try and get Venezuela back into this game. In truth, though, there's a pretty big golfing class between these two teams. The Brazilians wearing their famous yellow and blue will get us underway once Carlos Orbe blows his whistle. No Paraguay tonight in action, which is why the stadium is fairly empty. They will be back on Wednesday. Finally, the referee blows his whistle and Brazil get us underway once more. Handsome and very, very well-merited lead. Question of how ambitious they are in perhaps trying to extend it, although Venezuela had a good little spell in the final 5 minutes of the first half. If they get the next goal, Venezuela, it might be interesting. If Brazil get the next one, then you'd expect it to be game over. Here's Leandro, scored in the previous 2 fixtures but hasn't managed one yet tonight. This is Renan. Lincoln, who got the first goal. Ball breaks kindly from a Brazilian point of view. Here's Leandro finding Renan. One of the 2 changes enforced by suspensions incurred by Kleber and Ronaldo. There's the first shot of the second half, and it's a good way over the top. Hit by Evander, whose corner led to the second goal, headed expertly into the net by Adrielson. With Renan is there he is, the other boy who's come in today. It's the first time Brazil have changed their team. Venezuela making 3 changes to their side, but to be honest, it hasn't changed their fortunes very much. Let slip a 2-goal lead against Peru the other night, and got to come back from 2-0 down here this evening. Here's Mateus Pereira. It's a free kick to Brazil for the foul on Lincoln. Not sure whether he is named after the American president, but strangely the Brazilian under-20 team has a Kennedy, who this week has been reportedly linked with a big money move to Manchester United in the English Premier League. Beautifully controlled by Leandro. Decent ball too, there's space for a shot. Mateus Pereira's effort was blocked by Yangel Herrera, and in the end Venezuela have a free kick which Evander seems to be slightly mystified about. Farinas was certainly at fault for the opening Brazilian goal. Came out, couldn't claim, and Lincoln was able to bundle the ball into the net. Ball forward by Rioulet, up towards Lincoln. Picked up by Perez. Zé Marcos for Brazil. Decent ball as well. This is Evander. Burst down the middle is by Andre. It's very well defended. As they did in the first half, Brazil have come out all guns blazing. Here's the Rioulet again, who's a wonderful through ball. Lincoln took advantage of that goalkeeping blunder. Blunder from Brazil with the ball hit straight out. There's their coach, Caio Zanardi. He'll be pretty pleased with what he saw in the first half, I'm sure. Probably asking his team for more of the same in the second. Wouldn't bet against Brazil getting a 3rd or a 4th here. Cleverly done. It's not such a good ball to follow it, but the referee, who was trying to play an advantage, has brought the play back for the foul on Andre.
Sai de trás! Sai de trás! Não recua, mantenha a força na frente!
Adrielson. Misdirected pass, this time from Rioulet. Back by Roberto. It's all rather scrappy at the moment, but Venezuela are very keen to get Tortolero involved. He was their best player in the opening half. 3 brought into the side today. Had a lively little cameo the other night against Peru. And has merited his inclusion. Here's Chacon, who had the ball in the net in the first half but was offside. Managed goals in both of Venezuela's games prior to tonight. Here's Leandro, who's also scored in 2 games so far, finding Mateus Pereira. Well defended. It's come out to Winter Rivas, the defensive midfield player for La Vino Tinto. Still has it. Somehow manages to find Tortolero. This is better from Venezuela. They haven't created too much in the way of passing moves yet in the game. And that one's broken down.
Olha aqui, ó. Olha aqui, ó. Para que me buscar no pé. Toda hora vai ter que ver, não quer essa aqui, ó. Trabalha a bola, Abi.
It's very sloppy from Zé Marcos. And it's invited Venezuela on. There's a chance here, and there's a covering tackle by Adrielson to spare his defence's partner's brushes as Jolvis Acevedo tried to capitalise on the slip. Very poor by Zé Marcos. Venezuela not able to take advantage, but here's the throw. Ball's back into the Brazilian box. There's no offside, and Bruno's made a magnificent save, but a penalty is the result. Venezuela have been given a lifeline, and for the second game running, well, the second in the tournament, Bruno has conceded a penalty kick. Let's see what happened here. Yendis was onside, and then the goalkeeper caught him as he went for the loose ball. They came together here, nothing wrong with that. But then there, the goalkeeper's right leg. It's a good decision by the official. Bruno gets a yellow card. More importantly, Venezuela get a penalty. So Brazil, from being 2-0 up and well set, face a potential setback here. Yangel Herrera, the Venezuelan captain, will take the penalty. He's got the responsibility if he can net this, and you never know. Good penalty. And Venezuela have renewed hope at the start of the second half. Well, it wasn't really in the script of the first half at all, but second period, Bruno, who looks an eccentric goalkeeper at times, conceded a penalty in the opening game against Colombia and has done so again. And on both occasions has been sent the wrong way by the penalty taker. It was Eduard Bolanos for Colombia. It's Yangel Herrera for Venezuela, and it's Brazil 2, Venezuela 1, out of nothing, really. It's made the game a little more interesting, because the first half, although we were admiring the Brazilian skill and the way they played, wasn't much of a game competitively. It might be now. Here's Lincoln as Brazil look to get themselves 2 goals in front once more. Ball driven across field towards Renan. Tries to cushion it into the path of Andre. Suddenly there's a bit more urgency about Venezuela. What they have done is kept up this amazing record so far in the competition. Not a single team in any game so far has failed to score. And this is match number 10. They had 27 goals in Group A. Finishes 2-1. That'll be the lowest scoring game of this group. A couple of 2-2 draws in the previous match day. The First match day saw, or the first 2 match days saw both games finish 3-2. Brazil do have a propensity to concede goals. Here come Venezuela with Chacon. Didn't see much of him in the first half, but we might see a bit more of him here. And Adrielson has been penalised for that challenge. Chacon goes rolling over, which normally suggests that he's not really injured. The referee, though, has awarded a free kick to Venezuela, and understandably so. Adrielson taking the man first, then the ball. Scorer in the opening half, Adrielson, but he's given Venezuela an opportunity here. Bruno is organising his rear guard as Edson Tortolero sizes up the free kick. Surely they're not going to concede again. Tortolero's free kick into the near post and dealt with by Brazil. Minutes have elapsed in the second period, and the balance of the game has shifted slightly, but Brazil are looking to do something about that. Venezuela are in the better team since that penalty was awarded, and here they come again. Darting down the left is Sandro Notaraberto. Started the first game, didn't feature in the second. Chacon puts the cross behind the goal. But Brazil just seem a little bit rocked by that penalty goal, which they really presented to Venezuela. It was a silly flick out by Bruno. But the word eccentric seems to sit quite nicely. He is captain of the Brazilian team. He does not lead by example. Renewed hope for La Vino Tinto. If they can get a point, it would be a big point for them. And it would lead them, needing to beat Colombia in the final game to have any chance of progressing, as they did 2 years ago when they managed to finish second and reach the World Cup finals for the first time ever. Lost all 3 games in the United Arab Emirates, but it was a real achievement to get there. Hoisted forward towards Chacon. He tries to set up Yendis, but Brazil have got the ball away. But at the moment, it's all Venezuela. Could be of some concern to the Brazilian coach Caio Zanardi. His team have dealt with that particular flurry forward. Here's Andre. He was tripped.
Hey, no recua!
So just
no recua!
not able to respond at the moment to the disappointment of conceding that goal. Clearly a foul on Andre by Anthony Trujillo. Just short of an hour played. Minutes, which wants to be quite interesting here. More interesting than they might have been. And, Venezuela not get themselves back in. Venezuela's performances at this level have been much improved in the last few years. Opening day defeat by Paraguay is their only loss in 9 games in this competition. So they're no mugs. Wouldn't call them minnows anymore. Traditionally, they are one of the weaker sides in this competition. They've only won 15% of their 86 previous matches. At the moment, they've got Brazil very, very subdued.
Venga, venga, venga. 15. 15. 15. 15.
Brazil just need to get hold of the ball and start playing again. This is Zé Marcos finding Mateus Pereira, who is a very capable playmaker in midfield, but can't find the right pass there. Herrera clears. Contrast to Venezuela's 15% success rate. Brazil, amazingly, in 114 games in this tournament, have only ever lost 9. Looking for a 17th game without defeat. Last team to beat them was Paraguay 4 years ago. Here's Lincoln. He concedes the free kick. And Brazil, remember, let slip a 2-goal lead against host Paraguay 2 nights ago. Kleber had made it 2-0 early in the second half. But then Sergio Diaz and Jorge Morel hit back, so there's a precedent. So led 3-1 against Colombia and then conceded. So quite as costly, that concession. Yellow card has been shown, I think, to Zé Marcos, and he will be suspended for Brazil's
tarjeta amarilla en la selección de Brasil,
ensuing
camiseta
match,
número 4, Zé Marcos.
which is against Peru on Friday. Brazil don't feature in the next round of matches. They take a breather. It's going to be a long breather for Zé Marcos because he won't be involved against the Peruvians, who were beaten tonight by Colombia 4-2. Free kick to Venezuela. Bruno comes and punches, and back it comes from Venezuela. In the end, it's a harmless ball forward. Here's Evander for Brazil. Lincoln can't find a way through. This is Chacon. Penalise, it's offside against the 2-goal man. Certainly since that 53rd minute goal by Venezuela, Brazil have scarcely had any level of possession at all. They do now. Here's Leandro. Andre. Leandro again. Now Reinan. He's given it away. This is Tortolero. Zé Marcos. Again, Venezuela are able to unsettle Brazil. I wonder whether there's a question mark about their temperament, these Brazilians. They've certainly got the talent to outwit most teams in this tournament, but they do show a slightly fragile edge when they suffer setbacks. Here's Lincoln. Need to put that right. It's Evander. There's a nice break here down the left-hand side. That would have been a terrific goal had it gone in, but Evander's effort was pushed around the post by Farinez. And it was a really, really good break. Just what Brazil needed. Just shift up a gear again, which they did. Excellent overlap down the left-hand side from Kaiki. Low ball in, Evander was there, it was on target, and it was an excellent save by the goalkeeper. Brazil want to bring Eronildo on, but I think the corner may be taken first. Evander is going to come off. Here's the corner. It's gone behind for a goal kick, and Brazil probably will now be able to make their change. There is Eronildo. Came on as a sub in the opening game against Colombia, and it is Evander going to make way. Evander will avoid the possibility of picking up a second yellow card of the tournament. It was a good effort by Evander. He opened his body, he met it really well. Great body shape and a good shot, but a very, very good save as well by Farinez. Goalkeeper at fault for the opening Brazil goal, but he did really well there. Brazil have a free kick, and it's going to be a yellow card this time for Jolvis Acevedo. 16-year-old gets Venezuela's second card, having joined Kevin De La Hoth. De La Hoth, incidentally, will miss his side's final game against Colombia. Just been booked is Acevedo, the man who's going to come off. Victor Arias is coming on. La voz del estadio Erico Galeano presenta la primera modificación en la selección de Venezuela. Acevedo who comes off. Victor Arias makes it a hat-trick of substitute appearances in this tournament. He's got the last quarter of the game to try and have some sort of impact. Brazil at the moment, though, have survived a little bit of a flurry at the other end to enjoy a bit of possession themselves. But here's Chacon for Venezuela, in front of his coach. Chacon into the Brazilian box. It's not a bad ball, but it was well defended in the end. Here's Andre. It's broken kindly for the Brazilians, and Leandro's kept it in. Not a good crossfield ball, though. Here's Tortolero for Venezuela. They get a second chance here, but it's almost pumped forward. Rivas with the thump upfield that came to nothing. He's already a senior player with FC Caracas. He made a senior appearance last season. Here's Yangel Herrera. Venezuela as yet unable to add to his penalty goal in the second half, but they might here. It's a real chance. And in the end, a combination of Zé Marcos and Bruno managed to foil Ronaldo Chacon, who felt he was pushed. The referee was having none of it. Here's Eronildo, who's just come on for Brazil. Tries to set up Leandro. Eronildo goes tumbling over. No free kick or no penalty at that end either. In truth, not a great amount of appeals. Let's have a look at the previous one. It's a 50-50 and they've gone for it, and Chacon stumbled over. It's not a free kick or indeed a penalty, with Zé Marcos just going for the ball earnestly. Now going to get a yellow card here, though. And it's shown to Sandro Notaraberto.
Tarjeta amarilla en la selección de Venezuela, camiseta número 2, Sandro Nota
Very
Roberto.
clumsy challenge indeed on Leandro. 20 minutes to go. Brazil's lead more slender than many would have expected on the evidence of the first half, but they've got an opportunity here maybe to swing the pendulum back very much in their own direction. Lincoln's going to take the free kick. Adrielson's already just demonstrated his prowess with headers, having scored a super goal for 2-0. Eronildo's up there as well, having just come on. Brazilians are complaining about some of the treatment they're getting at the hands of Venezuelan defenders, but the referee finally decides to intervene between Adrielson and substitute Arias. Lincoln will take the free kick. Goalkeeper's there and gets a decent hand on it. It's thumped away by Herrera. It's well controlled by Chacon, but Brazil come again. A bit more spring in their step now. Lincoln, Leandro. Lincoln goes for the return, clips the cross, and there's no one at the back post, but it's not a great clearing header. And the subsequent shot is blocked. It was Mateus Pereira who let fly in the end. Brazil needed someone attacking that far post. Managed to at least regroup a little bit following that penalty concession. Here's Lincoln. There's a 1-2 with Andre. Good ball. That isn't. And, Venezuela have it again. He's a little bit hasty with his clearance, but it's broken to Tortolero. Maybe he's centre midfield, but excellent play by Mateus Pereira. Outstanding tournament. Cultured central midfield player. He's found Eronildo. This is Leandro. Mateus Pereira again. It's nicely done. Here's Kaiki. His cross is a good one towards Andre. Able to meet it. It's come out to Pereira. Again, it's a good-looking ball by him in towards Kaiki. Hit by Lincoln and deflected. And a possible break on here for the Venezuelans. Starling Yendis finding space for Tortolero. Arias with the ball into the box, and it's slithered away by the Brazilians, and it just crosses the line for a Venezuelan corner. It was a good break. Starling Yendis setting up Victor Arias, and the cross was just about dealt with by the Brazilians, but a corner kick is the result. Up comes Yangel Herrera, who coolly converted the penalty, looking to get on the end of this corner. It's come at the end of a fairly long spell of Brazilian pressure, but Tortolero has a chance here. Keeper's punched again and got reasonable distance on it. And the subsequent shot is about as far off target as it's possible from Winter Rivas. Now does a goal scorer. This was the break. It was nicely done by Yendis. Good ball to Arias. He was trying to pick out Chacon, but Say Marcos was sliding in. The referee was absolutely right. It had just crossed the line there. Substitution for Colombia, for Venezuela. We're going to see the first glimpse in the tournament of Gerardo Colmenares, one of the Deportivo Táchira players. He's replacing Edson Tortolero with 15 minutes left to play. Decent break this. Chacon down the left. goodness me, it's gone straight in. An extraordinary goal by Venezuela, and it's 2-2. And it's Ronaldo Chacon. Once more, he scored in every game. And for the second match running, Brazil have let slip a 2-goal lead. Well, I'm not sure whether he meant this or not, but Bruno was caught out and he just dipped under his crossbar at the last minute. I'm sure it was a cross. Chacon won't care. Look at that, it's just crept in from nothing. And it's 2-2.
Gol convertido en la selección de Venezuela, camiseta número 11, Ronaldo Chacon. Brasil 2, Venezuela 2.
3 goals in 3 games for Ronaldo Chacon. And Venezuela, who were 2 goals down themselves against Peru, have come back from a 2-0 deficit against Brazil. I was saying earlier that there are question marks about the mentality of this Brazilian team, and I think that's been borne out. The coach will be furious. Twice in the space of 3 days they've been 2-0 up and seemingly coasting, and on both occasions they've been pegged back. Now, they didn't have the wherewithal to get back in front against Paraguay. Can they do it against Venezuela? They've got 13 minutes left. It would be a major shock if the Venezuelans were to come back and win 3-2. Remember, Brazil haven't lost in 17 previous games in this competition. Here's the substitute Colmenares. Header away on the edge of the boxes by Zé Marcos. This is Kaique. It's a very, very poor ball by Brazil. They're under pressure again here, but fortunately Venezuela's ball wasn't great either. And Zé Marcos was able to get it away. Time for a change for Brazil. André is being removed. The player coming on is Mauro Junior, who is their youngest player. He's 15 years old, won't be 16 until May. His debut for the under-17 team in a 4-0 friendly win against Australia towards the back end of last year, so he does have some experience at this level. This is his first game in this competition. He's a midfield player. Away for Venezuela by Herrera, but it's gone straight out of play. Well, a Brazil draw against Venezuela from 2-0 up will be good news for the hosts Paraguay. Brazil would be a point clear at the top of Group A, but of course the Paraguayans would have a game in hand. What a turnaround in Capiata. Just couldn't see this coming remotely when Brazil went 2 up midway through the first half. Credit to Venezuela though. They pulled their way back in. They got lucky, I think, with the Chacon goal. I'm sure he meant that as a cross. Totally deceived the goalkeeper. Lincoln in his urgency to get the game underway has reacted in a fashion which doesn't really help this team. They need to try and refocus Brazil. They've been poor in the second half. They've let Venezuela back into the game. Here they come though, looking to get themselves back in front. This is Mauro Junior, who's just come on, finding Riouler. The flick is a little nonchalant, and Venezuela get it away. Final 10 minutes. Can Brazil rescue a situation which really they should never have got themselves into? They always look likely to concede, that's the problem. Great going forward, the front 4 or 5 players are outstanding, but they have a suspect goalkeeper and defenders who lack discipline. One of those defenders was fouled on the far side. Here's Riouler. Renan. It's a poor ball. The passing's not been good. Renan has gone flying in there. The referee's going to produce a card, and Renan will be missing when Brazil played Peru on Friday. That's his second yellow of the tournament. Also booked in the game against Paraguay on Saturday. So he and Zay Marcos will both be missing from that match, having both picked up their second yellows of the tournament today. Venezuela will also be a man short when they face their final game against Colombia, because Kevin De La Hoz, the right fullback, was booked in the first half, and he too. Oh my goodness, the goalkeeper's missed it, it's been headed into his own net! Oh, I don't believe it! I think it's an own goal by Zay Marcos. A long, hopeful ball forward by Venezuela. Bruno made a complete and utter mess of it. It seemed to get a touch off a defender, and it just goes from bad to worse for Brazil. Yendis is claiming the goal. Let's have a look at what happened here. It was an absolute comedy of errors. Goalkeeper misses it. It's been headed into his own net by Zay Marcos. That's an own goal. What was he doing? The goalkeeper, once he'd made a mess of it, what was the defender doing? Utterly bizarre goal. 2 freak goals. And Venezuela are in front against Brazil. Would you believe it? The Brazilians haven't lost in this tournament since 2011, and having been 2-0 up, they are now 3-2 down against a team who in the first half looked as if they didn't have a prayer. Well, their prayers have been answered now, the Venezuelans. Here's Brazil trying to make amends. What an extraordinary finale to this game. The goal came in the 83rd minute. We've had a cross-come shot drifting under the crossbar and in, and now the most bizarre own goal you'll ever see. Goalkeeper missing it, and the defender had a chance to atone and then headed it back into his own net. Absolute mess of a goal. It's been a dreadful night for Zay Marcos. He's picked up a yellow card, which will mean a suspension, and he scored an own goal. Another booking. Kaike is another one who will now miss the next game. This is absolute nightmare second half for Brazil. It really is. Incredible lack of discipline. Kaike will now be out of the game against Peru. So will Zay Marcos, so will Renan. So that's 3 defenders down. Kleber and Ronaldo already suspended. Here come Venezuela. Surely they're not going to get a 4th. Brazil are 5 minutes away from their first defeat in 18 games in this competition. Absolutely astonishing. Can Brazil snatch a draw at the death? Here's Mauro Junior. Great tackle on the edge of the box, though, by Notarabetto. Up towards Chacon. Headed away by Adrielson. This scenario did not seem possible when Adrielson found the net in the 23rd minute. I don't think even Venezuela believed that they could get back into the game and win it. Never mind getting themselves level even. It's a dream come true for them. If they can get 3 points here, they'll have 4 and they'll go level on points with Brazil and Paraguay at the top of the group. Here's Mateus Pereira. Maybe it's a little premature because Brazil do have a few minutes left, but Mateus Pereira has put the ball out of play. Well, 2 years ago, Venezuela stunned everybody in the South American Under-17 Championship by, first of all, qualifying from the group by scoring only 1 goal, and then finishing second in the hexagonal and qualifying for their first ever World Cup finals. Now they've stunned everybody in 2015 by coming back from 2-0 down to lead 3-0 against the 10 times winners of this competition. It's been hugely entertaining. It's been a great night. We've had some bizarre moments, none more so than this. Bruno completely missing the ball, and then Zé Marcos, who was trying to obviously head it away from Chacon, has headed it into his own net. He looks utterly bemused, confused and bewildered, as do most of the Brazilians. Venezuela are going to make a final substitution with Carlos Martinez of Estudiantes coming on. Injury there, forcing the late substitution, provided that the player on the stretcher is okay. I don't think Venezuela will mind, because it just disrupts things. It's Starling Yendis who's gone off. Let's hope he's okay, because he's a lively player for Venezuela. But they will go into their final game in Asuncion in 2 days' time, believing that they will be able to perhaps emerge with 7 points, which should be enough to get them through. Brazil only have 1 game left, so they're in real peril. This is all falling into the hands of the host Paraguay at the moment, who probably couldn't have imagined that Brazil would drop even 2 points tonight, never mind 3. Precious little time left for Ocelechao, who've been absolutely awful in the second half. They have completely lost the plot. Here's Ramon, who came on as a substitute shortly after that own goal. Flick header is wide from some distance by Mauro Junior. Matchday 3 in Group A has produced 11 goals in 2 games, 3 of them penalties, an own goal, all kinds of drama. It's been an absolutely fantastic night in Capiata, unless you're Brazilian or Peruvian. If you're Brazilian, it's been an absolute nightmare. Free kick to Venezuela, 30 seconds away from 90. You have to give credit to Venezuela. In as much as you can criticise Brazil, they have had the wherewithal to get back from what looked like a absolutely desperate situation. At half-time, you'd have fancied Brazil 5-0 more than Venezuela 3-2. And that's the way it is. There's 3 minutes left to play. Venezuela have a free kick, which will be taken by Winter Rivas. This time, Bruno gets the punch away. But again, it's a really poor ball, and Brazil invite pressure on themselves. Not Roberto with the header forward. That's well played again by Venezuela. Free kick to Brazil, though. Well, they take a point now. They'd absolutely bite your hand off for a point. Here's Riouler. He did. It would be tough on Venezuela in the end, having got themselves back. It's a good clearance. Here's Zé Marcos, who's had probably the worst night of his young career. And he's gone forward, desperately hoping that it'll end some sort of atonement via a goal. Free kick, though, offers an opportunity. Substitute Mauro Junior of Desportivo Brasil is standing over the ball. Zé Marcos, who, as I mentioned, will be more keen than anyone to rescue this desperate situation, has gone up. Herrera is complaining about being manhandled in the box, but Venezuela are going to have to really concentrate here. The kick is really well claimed. That's just what Venezuela needed, the goalkeeper to be decisive and efficient, and he certainly was. He made a mess for the first goal. He managed to knock that ball out of the tunnel on the far side into the concourse surrounding the stadium. There's a Venezuelan player injured, so the added on time is going to be slightly elongated here. They have used all three substitutes, Venezuela, but fortunately Galahad is back on his feet. Is the referee going to make an allowance for that and give Brazil one last chance? One of the most astonishing defeats you'll ever see at any level, really. Not just in the fact that they were so comfortably leading, but in the extraordinary manner in which they conceded the goals that led to it. A penalty needlessly given away by the keeper. First time shot that flew in. There's an effort over the top of the bar by Mauro Junior, and that might be it. And then a goal which will haunt Bruno and Zé Marcos for years to come, I should think. Zé Junior's effort a long way over the crossbar. 3 minutes have elapsed. Wilker Farines, if the whistle blows with the ball in mid-air, it'll spark riotous celebrations amongst the Venezuelans, who have produced one of the greatest comebacks in the history of this competition. An extraordinary match. Brazil absolutely coasting at 2-0 up. Lincoln and Adrielson with first half goals, but then a penalty conceded by goalkeeper Bruno and converted by Yangel Herrera. A cross-come shot which sneaked under Bruno's crossbar from Chacon, and then to cap it all, a long hopeful ball forward, a fumble by Bruno and a header into his own net by Zé Marcos. An absolute nightmare for Bruno, the captain, and his Brazilian teammates. An absolute delight for Venezuela, who looked down and out, not just in the match, but in the competition at half-time. Not anymore. They have 4 points from their opening 3 games, and if they can win their next one, they should get through to the hexagonal. Amazing stuff in Capiata. Bruno's being consoled as he leaves the field, but this has been an extraordinary performance by Venezuela. An amazing match ends Brazil 2, Venezuela 3.